Just moments ago, the British royal family was shaken by breaking news from inside the palace. King Charles made a bold move that left Camilla not only stunned, but visibly furious. What began as a seemingly harmless conversation between the royal couple quickly escalated when Charles delivered a remark that completely blindsided Camilla. At the heart of this emotional storm is none other than Laura Lopes, Camilla's daughter from her previous marriage. The question now is what could have possibly driven the king to reopen this deeply personal chapter of Camilla's past? And why now could this be part of a larger plan involving the throne, titles, or trust within the royal household? As whispers echo through the palace halls and the public scrambles to make sense of it all, one thing is certain: the consequences of Charles's daring decision could permanently reshape the future of the monarchy. Stay with us as we uncover the full truth behind this extraordinary royal confrontation. The atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace has always been thick with unspoken tension, but nothing could have prepared those within the royal walls for the explosive scene that unfolded behind closed doors on that fateful day. What began as a seemingly private conversation between Queen Camilla and King Charles quickly spiraled into an intense confrontation, one that would leave royal insiders shaken to their core. Camilla, now officially queen consort, has long felt that her children from her previous marriage have been unfairly overlooked by the royal family, especially her daughter, Laura Lopes. Despite Camilla's marriage to Charles, Laura has remained on the fringes of royal life, never fully acknowledged within the fold after years of enduring public scrutiny and navigating the challenges of her royal role. Camilla has reached a firm decision: Laura deserves recognition, not just as her daughter, but as someone worthy of an official place in the royal family. More than anyone, Laura should be granted the title of Princess. Camilla's reasoning is rooted in both practicality and emotion. Laura, though not born into the royal bloodline, has always shown poise and dignity. She has never sought the spotlight, but has always supported the royal family in her own understated way. The request feels like a natural one to Camilla, one she believes is long overdue. She fought for her place by Charles's side for decades, and now she wants her family to be given the same respect. But as she laid out her argument, the response she received from Charles was like a slap to the face, unexpected, cold, and brutal. Charles, who has spent a lifetime steeped in the traditions of the monarchy, refused her outright, even going so far as to say, "I don't accept her." His refusal isn't merely about the title, it is about preserving the very fabric of the royal institution. The monarchy, to Charles, is built on the strength of bloodlines and tradition, and to allow anyone outside the royal bloodline to be granted a title could unravel everything the monarchy stood for. In his mind, Camilla's request is not a simple matter of family or love, it is a potential threat to the very foundation of the crown. He sees the role of the monarchy as sacrosanct, and the purity of its bloodline is non-negotiable. Camilla, though, saw it differently. She felt a profound sense of betrayal, as though everything she had done, everything she had given to the royal family had been dismissed in an instant. The conversation spiraled quickly from there, with Camilla's frustration boiling over. But Charles, resolute in his decision, remained unyielding for him. The monarchy comes first, and that was something Camilla would have to accept. The meeting ended abruptly, with Camilla storming out of the room. Her heart heavy with anger and disbelief, the interaction left many wondering if Charles's rejection was purely about royal traditions, or if there was something more behind his decision. The hidden reason Charles's rocky relationship with Laura after the heated conversation, rumors began circulating that there was more to King Charles's rejection of Queen Camilla's request to grant her daughter the title of princess than just the need to preserve royal tradition and the sanctity of the bloodline. Behind the official narrative of royal duty, a more personal story lurks, one deeply rooted in years of tension and unresolved emotional wounds. Charles's relationship with Laura has never been anything close to warm, in fact. It has been fraught with animosity and unspoken resentment from the early days of his relationship with Camilla. When their romance became a matter of public scandal, Laura made it abundantly clear where she stood. The young girl, fiercely loyal to her father, Andrew Parker Bowles, saw Charles as the villain in her life. He was the man who had destroyed her parents' marriage and irreparably altered the fabric of her family as a child. Laura could never come to terms with the idea that her mother, Camilla, was involved with the very man who, in her eyes, had shattered her world. In the early days of Charles and Camilla's relationship, when phone calls between them were frequent, Laura's defiance was unrelenting whenever Charles would call to speak with Camilla. Young Laura would reportedly intercept the calls, refusing to pass the phone to her mother. What started as a minor act of resistance quickly escalated into something much more emotionally charged. Laura's refusal to let Charles speak to Camilla became more aggressive over time. She would often scream into the phone, "Leave my mom alone." It wasn't a one-time outburst, it became a pattern. Every phone call seemed to trigger the same reaction, as if Laura was fighting to reclaim the family she felt was being taken from her for Charles. This relentless rejection was a bitter pill to swallow. He was no stranger to public scrutiny, having lived his life under a microscope. But this personal rejection, this constant reminder from a young girl of the pain his relationship with Camilla had caused, struck a deeper chord. While he may have been accustomed to the pressures of being in the royal spotlight, this was a private wound, one that no royal duty or formal protocol could shield him from. It was a wound that never fully healed, and it shaped his view of Laura in ways that would become impossible to ignore in the years that followed. Charles's refusal to grant Laura the title of princess, when Camilla finally asked for it, may seem like a simple matter of tradition or protocol. However, insiders and those close to the royal family know that the decision was likely colored by much more than just royal custom. Could this refusal be a form of revenge, perhaps? In some ways, it was. It seemed unlikely that Charles had forgotten the way Laura had treated him during those early years. King Charles's secret motivation pleasing Prince William, another theory that has gained traction in royal circles, is that King Charles's rejection of Camilla's request is an attempt to appease his son. Prince William, this theory suggests that Charles's decision may not have been based purely on tradition, but rather a calculated move to maintain peace within his fractured family, particularly with William. William and Laura's relationship has always been tense, marked by deep, unspoken animosities that date back to their childhoods. Both had been deeply affected by the breakdown of their respective homes, and for years, they blamed each other's families for the pain they had endured. For William, Camilla is the symbol of the end of his parents' marriage. Within closed doors, his mother, Princess Diana, had always been outspoken about her unhappiness in her marriage to Charles, and William has never forgiven Camilla for being the catalyst in that breakdown. On the other side, Laura saw Charles as the villain in the story. She was a young girl when her parents' marriage crumbled. And like William, she struggled with the idea of her mother moving on with a man she viewed as responsible for the destruction of her family. According to sources, there were many heated exchanges between William and Laura, with each hurling accusations at the other. William, still raw from the collapse of his parents' marriage, would frequently blame Camilla for all the emotional turmoil his mother, Diana, had gone through. Laura, in turn, would lash back, accusing William's father of causing her family's suffering. One particularly explosive argument, which occurred after Diana's tragic death, left a lasting scar. William, overcome with anger, screamed at Laura, "Your mom caused my mom's death." The rawness of that accusation revealed the depth of the emotional fractures that ran through both families, wounds that have never truly healed. The rift between William and Charles became even more pronounced after Diana's death. William, who had been deeply affected by the loss of his mother, began to distance himself from his father. As their relationship soured, the young prince, already struggling with the emotional fallout of his parents' divorce, could not bring himself to forgive Charles for the role he had played in his mother's heartbreak for years. Charles sought to repair his relationship with William, making numerous efforts to reconnect with his son, but the tension remained palpable, with both father and son unable to fully bridge the emotional divide between them. In this light, Charles's refusal to grant Laura the title of princess may have been a calculated decision to avoid further straining his already delicate relationship with William. It's been suggested that Charles, aware of the lingering animosity between William and Laura, saw this as an opportunity to maintain a semblance of unity with his son. In essence, rejecting Camilla's request for a royal title might have been Charles's way of staying in his son's good books. In doing so, however, Charles may have inadvertently highlighted another underlying issue, his own complex relationship with Camilla, while his decision may have been framed as an effort to maintain peace with William. It also raises questions about the stability of his marriage. If Charles were truly unwavering in his commitment to Camilla, would he not have been more willing to advocate for her children's inclusion in the royal fold? Or does this reluctance suggest deeper tensions between the king and queen? Ones that extend beyond their children and into the very foundation of their union. Crowning tensions, Charles, Camilla, and the unspoken divide behind the grandeur of King Charles's reign lies a marriage that has long been scrutinized not just by the public, but even within the palace walls. While Charles and Camilla's relationship endured decades of controversy before finally being legitimized in marriage, whispers persist that their union is not without its strains. One of the most telling signs of this tension, Charles's firm refusal to grant Camilla's daughter, Laura Lopes, any royal title. Some see this as a matter of royal precedent after all. Stepchildren of monarchs have never been given titles, but others believe it is a far more personal choice, an act of subtle resistance from Charles himself. Despite Camilla's deep integration into the royal family, her influence has its limits, and Charles's decision to withhold a title from Laura may be his way of drawing a boundary. Could this be his unspoken way of asserting his authority within the marriage, a means of keeping Camilla's presence in the monarchy from becoming too expansive while she has been crowned queen? Her children remain firmly outside the royal fold, perhaps a deliberate move by Charles to ensure that the monarchy and his reign remains undeniably his. At its core, this dilemma reveals more than just the logistics of royal titles. It hints at a lingering power dynamic between Charles and Camilla, one where love and duty collide, and where even a king may choose to quietly push back. But this raises another big question. Do Camilla's children, especially Laura, even feel like royals? Laura Lopes and Tom Parker Bowles do. They even see themselves as royals. Laura Lopes and her brother, Tom Parker Bowles, have never fully felt like a part of the royal family. In fact, many people may not even recognize Laura Lopes by name. She has remained a relatively obscure figure to the general public, overshadowed by the more prominent members of the royal family, so it's no surprise that her name would barely ring a bell for most. Tom Parker Bowles once opened up about his and Laura's position within the royal fold. Sharing his thoughts on Good Morning Britain in a candid interview, he stated, "We're not quite part of the royal family. To be honest, my mother is part of it because she married into it. We're the common children, we're just on the side." This statement paints a clear picture of how Tom and Laura have always viewed themselves in relation to the royal family despite their mother, Camilla, becoming a central figure in the monarchy after marrying Prince Charles. Tom and Laura have never felt they fully belong to the world of royalty. For Laura, the distance between herself and the royal spotlight is even more pronounced by the time her mother married Charles. Laura was already 27 years old, well into adulthood, with her own career and identity far removed from the trappings of royal life. At that point, the idea of being thrust into the public eye, carrying the weight of royal expectations, must have seemed foreign and distant. Laura had built her own life and didn't need to adhere to the royal family's demanding protocols and traditions. And yet, despite Laura's reluctance to embrace the royal lifestyle, there's been growing speculation and even some curiosity surrounding Camilla's desire for her to hold a princess title. Why would someone like Camilla, who herself had to navigate the complexities of royal integration, want her daughter to have such a prestigious title? What could be motivating her to push for Laura's royal recognition, especially when Laura has shown little interest in taking on the royal mantle? The real motive is Camilla pushing for Laura. Rumors have been swirling in recent months that Laura, once content in her role as an art curator and co-founder of the 11 Gallery in London, may no longer feel as fulfilled in her professional life. The question now on many minds is whether Laura is considering a new path, one that might bring her closer to the royal family. Could she be looking for a role that will tie her more directly to the world she has often kept at arm's length? Did she have her mother make such a request from the king? Some sources claim that Camilla is the mastermind behind the push for Laura to step into the royal spotlight. Could Camilla be maneuvering behind the scenes to secure a more prominent place for her daughter in the royal family? Recent events suggest that Camilla may indeed be strategically positioning her family members for greater involvement in royal affairs, for instance. Laura's children have been increasingly linked to royal events. Her daughter, Eliza, served as a bridesmaid at Prince William and Kate Middleton's 2011 wedding, marking her as a figure within royal circles. More recently, Laura's sons, Gus and Louis, were chosen to serve as page boys at the king's coronation, a rare honor that highlights the family's close ties to the royal family. Insiders claim that Camilla is behind these strategic placements, aiming to secure a lasting legacy for her family, Camilla's ultimate goal. Some suggest is to have Laura recognized as a princess. Is this Camilla's way of cementing her family's place in royal history? Refusing to take no for an answer, Camilla recently confronted King Charles again, fueling speculation about her true motives. Camilla's explosive reaction just 2 minutes ago. News broke that the tension between King Charles and Queen Camilla reached a boiling point when Camilla brought up the issue once again and was met with an unexpected and explosive reaction from her husband. Despite the presence of staff who were used to the couple keeping their disagreements behind closed doors, Charles snapped, already battling ongoing health problems. He was in no mood for more stress. His frustration had been building for some time. And with Camilla raising the subject yet again, he lost his composure in a rare and fairly public display of temper. In a rare outburst, one that shocked even those closest to him, Charles shouted, "She is not my daughter." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap, leaving Camilla speechless, frozen in disbelief for a moment. The room was thick with silence, then something inside Camilla seemed to snap. Her calm exterior, so often carefully maintained, cracked with the fury of someone who felt both betrayed and misunderstood. She turned and reportedly smashed a nearby teacup against the wall. The sharp sound of shattering porcelain filled the room. King Charles stiffened, his hand tightening around the armrest. Sources claim that Camilla, in the aftermath of her outburst, while fuming, muttered something under her breath, a chilling, venomous whisper that seemed to carry the full weight of her frustration. I suppose I should have expected this by now. The moment was more than just a quarrel. It felt like a breaking point. For years, Charles and Camilla had navigated the delicate balance of royal life, their personal issues often kept behind closed doors, but now, cracks in their relationship are showing in public. The outburst revealed a deeper tension, perhaps one that had been simmering for much longer than anyone realized. The royal family's reaction divided opinions. The shocking details of Queen Camilla's outburst and King Charles's firm refusal quickly spread throughout the royal family, sparking a flurry of reactions and setting the stage for an intensifying family drama. As the tension escalated, it became clear that the royal family is divided on the issue of whether Camilla's children, Laura and Tom, should be granted royal titles. Prince William has expressed his full support and publicly aligns himself with his father's stance. He views the monarchy as something that should adhere strictly to the rules of succession and tradition. And he seems to believe that allowing Camilla's children who are not born of a royal union to claim titles could create a dangerous precedent. William's commitment to upholding the monarchy's integrity reflects his growing role within the royal family and his desire to protect its public image, especially as he prepares for his own eventual reign. While he frames his position as a matter of tradition and the rules of succession, it's worth noting that he may have been a driving force behind the decision in the first place, given his long-standing feelings about Camilla and her family. Interestingly, the issue of royal titles for Laura and Tom is not a new one. The late Queen Elizabeth II, who always approached royal matters with caution and diplomacy, was firmly against granting them royal recognition. Her reasoning is believed to have been influenced by the delicate and often controversial nature of Camilla's marriage to Charles, given the highly publicized divorce between Charles and Princess Diana, and the lingering emotional scars it left on both the family and the public. Queen Elizabeth likely felt that acknowledging Camilla's children in any official royal capacity would further complicate an already sensitive situation. The monarchy had already faced so much turmoil in the wake of the divorce, and the media frenzy that surrounded it. Adding Camilla's children to the royal roster could have been seen as an unnecessary risk, one that could alienate both the public and certain factions within the royal family. What's next? Will Camilla back down or keep pushing? Following the explosive argument between King Charles and Queen Camilla, the air in the palace remains thick with tension. Camilla, furious and seething with anger, is now reportedly plotting her next move. The passionate outburst and her husband's rejection have left her feeling humiliated, but more importantly, they've ignited a fire within her, determined not to back down. Camilla is likely exploring every avenue to ensure her children receive the royal recognition she believes they deserve. Some insiders speculate that Camilla may attempt to leverage the influence of royal advisors, hoping to sway their opinions and push the issue forward. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that she could try to rally key figures within the royal family to her cause, using her position as queen to advocate for her children's rightful place in the royal fold. After all, with her deep connections within the palace, Camilla may have enough sway to create significant pressure behind the scenes. Will the advisors take her side, or will they stand firm with Charles, reinforcing the traditional monarchy? But the real question is whether King Charles will hold his ground or ultimately cave under the growing pressure. Will his commitment to tradition and his late mother's wishes be enough to withstand the forces at play? Or will the mounting pressure from Camilla push him to reconsider his decision? This is not just about titles, it's about his role as a king, a husband, and a father. Giving in to Camilla's demands could have long-lasting consequences for the monarchy, weakening the foundations of royal traditions that have stood for centuries. On the other hand, continuing to refuse her could result in even more public discord, putting a strain on his personal life and his reign. The stakes are high, and there is growing speculation that this battle could spell the beginning of a rift between Charles and Camilla, while their marriage has weathered many storms over the years. This could be a defining moment, one that tests the foundations of their relationship. If Charles continues to resist Camilla's push, will it lead to more animosity between them? Or will they find a way to reconcile with Camilla, agreeing to a compromise in order to preserve their marriage and the monarchy? The answers are yet to come, but the drama is only just beginning. The palace remains silent, but one thing is clear, this battle isn't over yet. Just moments ago, the British royal family was shaken by breaking news from inside the palace. King Charles made a bold move that left Camilla not only stunned, but visibly furious. What began as a seemingly harmless conversation between the royal couple quickly escalated when Charles delivered a remark that completely blindsided Camilla. At the heart of this emotional storm is none other than Laura Lopes, Camilla's daughter from her previous marriage. The question now is, what could have possibly driven the kings to reopen this deeply personal chapter of Camilla's past? And why now? Could this be part of a larger plan involving the throne, titles, or trust within the royal household? As whispers echo through the palace halls and the public scrambles to make sense of it all, one thing is certain: the consequences of Charles's daring decision could permanently reshape the future of the monarchy. Stay with us as we uncover the full truth behind this extraordinary royal confrontation.